Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar on how Databricks is transforming cybersecurity. We hope you'll enjoy this time. We hope to make it pretty entertaining. We've got a good lineup with 4 different speakers, so none of us should get too monotonous. And we hope we answer some of your questions and provide some new insights. So just before we begin, your connection is going to be muted. You can ask questions at any time, though, using the Q&A function in the application, and we will send you the slides and recording after the event. So this is our agenda for the day. Basically, we've got 4 points we're going to cover. We're going to talk about cybersecurity landscape and Databricks. How does Databricks work in cyber? A lot of you might not think of those two things together, but I hope we'll provide some insights and answer some questions there. Then after showing the what we do, we'll show you how we do it with a demo. And then we're going to show you our little DB squared project, which is with Databricks and our partner DataB and what we can do together, extra cyber power up there. And finally, we'll get into some Databricks platform security, some of the thought leadership we're doing in AI security, etc. So I want to thank all of our speakers, not just for speaking, but facilitating, but for spending hours researching and creating this content. We've got what I think is a really strong lineup. We've got Kristen Dahl, who's our cybersecurity SSA here at Databricks. We've got Amy Heng from DataB, our partner, and we've got Arun, who is a senior staff cybersecurity engineer, and he knows Databricks cyber inside out. So we're really lucky to have this crew. I'm lucky to be speaking with them. So the cybersecurity data revolution, empowering security with Databricks. Now, some of you who are on this call, you may know cybersecurity, and some may know Databricks or data science and data engineering. But I'm betting that most of you might ask, what do they have to do with one another? And this is the general state of the world we're living in. Like, I talk to customers every week, and we don't see a lot of crosstalk and synergy between those data teams and security teams. But the place where we're going in cybersecurity and where we need to get is really a convergence of these two, at least a partnership and intertwining on many levels. Those in the cybersecurity world are well aware of 2 big challenges the industry faces on a daily basis, and that's data and identity. They're the 2 big rocks in cyber. And when you think of it that way, along with the explosive growth of data in terms of scale, velocity, and type, your initial surprise and questions around Databricks and cybersecurity may subside a bit. So I'll go over a few quick numbers before we start. Like, cybercrime is predicted to inflict damages totaling $9.5 trillion US globally in 2024. And this is huge growth. In 2025, we're going to add another $1 trillion to that. It's a 15% year-over-year increase. And what I find really interesting is cybercrime itself as an ecosystem, as a GDP, would be the world's 3rd largest economy after the US and China. So this is the scale of stuff we're talking about here. It's a big problem everywhere in the industry. Now, let's talk data. Like, the global data storage is projected to exceed 200 zettabytes by 2025, and 50% of that stored in the cloud. Again, that exponential growth in data generation and storage is a significant challenge for cybersecurity industry. Even if we've got security operations centers with armies of 10,000 analysts in there, we can't sift through all that data. It's just too much. So we need new methods of attacking this data. New data types, sources, joins, adding indexes, it just makes it all more unmanageable, more costly, and slows down operations. So this is the area where we've got, I think, traditional SIEMs for like monitoring your security state and operations. They're designed for that, but they can't scale to meet this big data. They're just no longer fit for purpose. So the industry needs a new model. And as I see it, we have 3 options to deal with this. We could keep running traditional SIEMs, and we can increase our daily risks of slower performance, less visibility, and more data at a greater cost. And even if those SIEMs were to go back and re-architect their systems, I don't think they're going to decrease their prices after throwing all that engineering work into it, because where would the return on investment be? So the option 2 is organizations could go all in on a comprehensive platform approach that lots of large security vendors are offering. They want to own and derive value from all your data. And this is probably the simplest option. It's like, oh, we're just going to pay someone to do it all. But I don't think, first, it runs completely contrary to the defense in depth adage that the security industry has been built on for years. And with enterprises putting all their eggs into one basket, it's just it's not a sustainable model. Again, we're reminded time and again over the last few months, like if you look back just last month, no vendor is immune from a fault or a security breach. So the third option, what we're going to talk about most today, is creating like a cyber data lake, a holistic collection and ingestion of all your security data and telemetry, boasting the advantage of agility and modularity. It'll let your business change tooling and processes as your business needs change, as the threat landscape keeps evolving. There's no lock-in. Your business can remain nimble. You can store all the data you want at cheap blob level data storage, and you can manipulate that data however you want. So as a CISO, I know which of these options would most appeal to me. So we're seeing a disruption in the industry really here. And as I said, these 4 points, I think they speak for themselves on here. Like we're seeing the data growth, we're seeing the diversification of data. The current systems can't scale to meet this data demand, and there's just too much data to have real insights to derive real visibility from. So how do traditional security architectures and SIEM keep up with the challenge of exploding and diversifying data? They don't, and they can't. So even if they went back to the drawing board again, it's just the price wouldn't decrease. So they're kind of caught in an endless loop. It's not going to get better. So we need the new model. So what I see for the future of security data architectures, I see an open, dynamic, flexible model that's performant, where you can automate aspects you need, that you get real insights derived from advanced analytics, machine learning, and of course, going into AI. And if we look at our attackers, they have all these attributes on their side. They use all of these things. So why shouldn't your business be making use of them well to at least level the playing field? We get a cyber data lake with all your security telemetry in a single place, in low-cost cloud storage. You can take advantage of all of these aspects shown here. You're going to have a unified data platform under it. You've got real-time ingestion and processing. You got scalable analytics, flexible data exploration, again, using whichever tools you want. You've got threat detection and response you can run on that, and centralized security visibility. To make it easier, we understand, like, there can be a learning curve when going to a new technology. We actually have a Splunk certified add-on, which Splunk being the largest market shareholder in the SIEM market, that will allow your analysts to use that SPL language they're familiar with to query Databricks or to query from Databricks into Splunk. So again, we're going to reduce the learning curve that any new technology can bring. So it's really helpful in doing that transition. Finally, we've got a growing partner ecosystem to help our customers tackle specific challenges they have. And this is being added to almost on a weekly basis. We're constantly working on refining it. We've got solution accelerators to address specific detections and functions. Databricks has a lot going on in the security field, but rather than hearing me just speak about it and talk about it, I thought it's better to show you. And Kristen's going to show you a live demo of how you can do security work and detections with Databricks. So I'll hand it over to her here.
Awesome. So thanks, Jesse, for that. So again, my name is Kristen Dahl, and I'm a specialist solution architect at Databricks. So I work with our customers specifically on cyber use cases and understanding how they can adopt Databricks within their environments for some of their cybersecurity needs. So my background is a little bit of defensive cyber operations on both traditional IT networks as well as OT, ICS, and SCADA systems. And so what I'm going to show you today is an example of how you could do threat detection and investigations using Databricks. So if you haven't seen Databricks before, what you're looking at right now is an example of a workspace. So when you log in, this is what the interface looks like. You can see on the left-hand side, we've got a navigation panel, and we're going to be doing a lot of our work in Databricks notebooks today. But there are a number of different ways that you can interact with the system. Now, when we're thinking about threat detection, any kind of these cybersecurity use cases, one of the first things that we need to think about are our data needs. So what are the data assets that we need access to in order to do our jobs? And how can I ensure, that we're getting them updated frequently? We have the latest and greatest data. So what I'm going to show you is an example of a pipeline that I built out for threat detection. So this is an example of an automated pipeline I built out, what we're doing is we're ingesting and normalizing traditional cybersecurity data. So if I jump into my pipeline, we can see this nice DAG that shows us our ETL pipelines, and we can see that we're ingesting some antivirus data, some data loss prevention data. We've got proxy filtering. We're performing some normalization, and then we're doing some enrichment and building out an alert table. Now, this data, this could live anywhere. This could be in S3 buckets. We could be pulling this data using APIs. It could really be coming from anywhere. And underneath each of these steps, there's a notebook, or there's a notebook that's actually running and executing underneath. And these can be scheduled to run at periodic intervals. So let me go back to this specific run so we can see that this succeeded. And so now what I want to do is pivot from this perspective into our data catalog so I can give you an idea of the data that we're going to be working with. So if I click on, let's go back out to our pipeline. I'm going to click on this downstream tables tab, and then I'm going to pivot directly into our data catalog. Now, this catalog view, this is where we can have access to all of the different data sources that we have available within Databricks. And so we can see here, I've got this threat detection schema built out. And then within this, I've got a number of different tables that we're going to be working with. So I'd like to call out, we've got our email table here. We're ingesting information about emails that are being sent within our organization. We've got information about data loss prevention. We've got a user table. And these are the typical tables you'd see in a traditional security operations center. Okay. So now let's put on our SOC hats. Let's pretend we're working together. We're in a security operations center, and we need to respond to some alerts. Okay, so I'm going to pivot over to this threat detection dashboard that I built. So this is an example of a dashboard that I built using Databricks. And underneath all of these visualizations are the tables that I just showed you. So I built out these tables using simple SQL commands. And so right away we can see I've got a wealth of information available to me. And if you've ever worked in a SOC before, you know that they tend to be high-paced, high-stress environments where you need to be able to respond to an alert very quickly. So the way that I designed this dashboard is I've put our detection and response assets front and center. So I can look here and I can see, okay, we've had 5 alerts in the past hour. I can drill down into this table and I can get very granular information about each one of these alerts. And then from here, I can pivot into the appropriate detection and response notebooks as needed. And I've got some other information down here just for my own situational awareness, so I can have a sense of what's going on in my environment. So we've got events and trends over the past 30 days. That's nice to know. That's nice to have in the back of my head. So going back to our alerts. So we've got 5 alerts here. We're going to investigate a couple of these. So we're going to start here at the bottom. We're going to look at this alert that's unusual access. So I'm going to open my detection notebook. So this is my number 2023.24. And this is an example. If you've not seen a Databricks notebook before, they're very similar to Jupyter notebooks, very similar look and feel. This particular notebook we've written out in Python, but Databricks does support a number of different languages by default. So there is support for Python, SQL, Scala, and R. So in this particular notebook, this is a trending-based rule. So we're looking at a user's daily document access, and we're trying to make an assessment as to whether there are any anomalies, whether there are a higher than usual number of documents accessed, because that could be very interesting to us. Why would we care about that? So this is useful if you're trying to identify any kind of potential data exfiltration activities or any other kind of suspicious activities that would involve high volume document access. So this would be a proactive measure that you'd want to run periodically within your organization just to maintain data security and integrity. Now, the way that we've written this rule, we're using z-scoring threshold. This is a very standard statistical technique used to detect anomalies. And basically what we're doing is we're comparing a value's normal behavior against its previous historic norms. So within this notebook, I've got information about the objective of the detection. I've got information about the technical context. So how does this work? I've also included information about blind spots, any assumptions that we need to know if we're an analyst in here running this detection. And I've also included information about what to do if you run into false positives and how you validate whether or not you have a true positive or not. Now, again, imagine that you're a SOC analyst and you're coming in here and you're running this detection for the very first time. Very, very nice to have all this information up front and center. Now, the detection itself is 4 lines of code. Well, it's 5 depending on your screen width. It's 4 lines of code. And so what we're doing is we're basically passing in, we're reading that we've got a table with, we'll call it SharePoint data. So let's pretend in our organization, we store all of our files on a SharePoint drive. So we're going to read in activity about who's accessed what on that SharePoint drive, and we're going to pass it to our windowing function that we've already predefined. So we're going to pass that to our windowing function, and we're also going to pass in a time frame. And we're basically saying, hey, given this data set and given this time frame, tell me, whether you detect any anomalies in here. So it's performing some math behind the scenes. I won't get into how this is working, but it tells us that Kristen Dahl had 30 events within the past day, which is statistically significant compared to her usual 1.6. Okay, so that alert that we just looked at was a valid alert. So the next thing that we want to do, we go back to our alerts, is okay, there's a possible data exfiltration. So this is pretty serious. And so we're going to assume for demo purposes that we know that this is taking place via email. We know that this is email. And so we're going to jump into our email detection notebook. And so I'm going to open that up in a new tab here. And this is using that same approach with Z ordering. But instead of looking at a user's document access, we're looking at the number of emails that users are sending. And we're looking for a statistically significant, higher than normal values of emails being sent. Again, we're using that same windowing function that I talked about in that last notebook. And again, why would you do that? Well, this is very important if you're trying to identify any potential data breaches, insider threats, or other situations where somebody's all of a sudden sending large volumes of emails. So it's the exact same layout. We've got our technical context. We state up front, these are our blind spots. These are our assumptions. Here's what you do to validate this rule. So all of this is stated up front. I'm going to scroll down. And again, exact same code base, except this time, or code, except we're passing in our email table instead of our SharePoint table. Okay, so we're passing this function, and it's basically telling us, okay, well, Kristen at company.com sent 500 emails in the past day. She normally sends 1.6. So this is something that, okay, we better start investigating a little bit further because something fishy is going on. So from here, the next step, I'm going to jump into, let's see, I'm going to pull out my navigation tab here, and I'm going to open my investigation notebook. So this is an example of a playbook. Now, you typically have, a number of different playbooks for different types of investigations within your SOC. And this specific one is for investigating user activity. So the way that this works is we've provided concrete steps. So as a SOC analyst, I go in here, I can follow these steps and perform an investigation. And what we're going to do is extract information about the alert, time frame, timestamps, user information, host information, and we're going to compare that to information that we have in our data loss prevention logs, our antivirus logs, malware logs, and we're just looking for more evidence to confirm or deny the suspicious activity that we're seeing. This particular notebook, you'll notice that it's parameterized, so there's this box at the top. So these notebooks, this is called a widget in Databricks parlance, but these widgets, you can parameterize this, and I could pass in other names. I could, if I'm Jesse Scott's kind of suspicious, so if I wanted to investigate him, I could just put his name in here and run this notebook, and I could pull all the information I need about Jesse Scott. I won't do that, but the point is they're parameterized, and you can actually set this up to run automatically or manually. So with that, the first step, so again, this is very simple because it's a demo environment. The very first thing that we'd want to do is extract information about the alert and the user. So things like timestamp, event details, any kind of user details. the idea is we're trying to establish an initial understanding of the situation. So in this case, all we're doing is we're pulling out the username. So in this case, Kristen Dahl. So we're querying our user table. We're outputting our username, Kristen Dahl. And you'll notice in each of these commands, I'm outputting the result, the text within the notebook. There's a very important reason why, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So we've got our user information. The next thing that we want to do is start collecting information about the workstation. So, what other login names does Kristen go by? What workstations does she have access to? Where is she logged in from? What are those IP addresses? What else has she touched within our environment, within this time frame? So that's what we're doing in step 2, is we're gathering all of that extra information. And so here we've established that Kristen Dahl is a manager and she is in the accounting department. And then we list out the hosts and the IP addresses that she's accessed within the past 7 days. Okay, so now we've got information about the user. So now we can go to our log data. Now we can look at data loss prevention. Now we can look at our antivirus logs and we can start to piece together what we think has happened. Now for each of these, what we're doing is we're querying these logs and we're trying to make an assessment for each. Is this low risk activity? Is this medium risk activity? Or is this high risk activity? So I'm not going to go through the code line by line, but basically, so this first one, we're looking at malware detections, and we can see that there's 20 hits within our malware table. So that's fairly significant. We scroll down to data loss prevention. We can see we had 2 high risk data loss prevention events and 3 medium risks. So that's significant. And then the proxy filtering. So let's see, were there any outbound attempts to connect to a command and control server or a malicious web server? In this case, we found 2,880 filter events to 5 unique domain names. So something's definitely going on here. So now in step 4, this is where we make our decision. So has this user been compromised? Yes or no? And then from there, what are the next steps that we need to take? So the way that we've done this is we've basically bucketed this. We've said, okay, if you've got X number of high-risk events, we're going to assume you're compromised. And so in this case, we've determined, we output our investigation and our findings at the bottom of the notebook. And we're concluded, based on this investigation, that this is a high severity event, and we recommend that you disable the user immediately. Now, again, put yourself in the shoes of a SOC analyst. You're going through this. Maybe you've never run this investigation before. Maybe you've never run this notebook before. It's so valuable to have kind of like this line by line trail to go through as you're building out your investigation. Now, I mentioned, I highlighted the fact that we are outputting the contents of every cell. The reason for that is because we can export these notebooks. So we can go up here when we're done with our investigation, we can actually export these notebooks with all of the results output, and then archive that. And we can use that for auditing and compliance purposes, or if we ever need to go revisit an investigation, we still have all of these artifacts saved. So we figured out something's going on with Kristen's account. We have to take some kind of action to contain this before it starts to spread and get worse. And so we want to disable her Active Directory account. We're going to pretend that she has an Active Directory account. And so I'm going to go back into my workspace and I'm opening this response notebook. Now, this is an example. This is something that you could trigger automatically or run manually. So you'd run this automatically. Maybe you've got some set of predefined conditions or rules that would automatically trigger this. That's typically how you'd see this operate. But basically what we're doing is we're using the Azure Active Directory Graph API. We're taking our user information, in this case, Kristen, and we're remotely reaching out and disabling her Active Directory. And then from there, now we can start to continue our investigation with whatever other cleanup or investigation steps we need to do within our organization. So that's kind of like a very high level, simple example of performing detection and investigation and response with Databricks. I know we kind of kept it very high level in terms of time, but that's all I've got for the demo purposes. If you've got questions about this, you want to learn more, feel free to reach out. I think we've provided our contact information. And I'm going to pass it back to Jesse.
Amazing. Thank you, Kristen. I hope that little taster proved useful, just seeing some of the power and the advanced customizations you can do with your detections on Databricks. It's really, I think it's a game changer. It's super exciting. And yeah, we will provide contact information at the end of this. Next, making Databricks even more powerful. I love our DB squared acronym. We've got our partner at DataB, and we've got Amy Hang, Director of Product Marketing, going to explain how Databricks and DataB working together can make your security solutions even more powerful. So over to you, Amy.
Thanks, Jesse. And I wanted just to thank Databricks team for inviting DataB and the Comcast team to participate in this. It's really been an amazing opportunity just to watch the amazing development from Kristen's demo, for example, and seeing what we can do together. So here, at Comcast, we're both a customer and a partner of Databricks, as Jesse mentioned earlier. All credits to Jesse for Databricks DB squared. But really what we're bringing is in the medallion architecture, we're helping customers, whether they're businesses or agencies, organize their data in an incremental and progressive flow, allowing them to achieve multiple advanced outcomes. So from this architecture, for example, in the bronze layer, you have this raw data that lands as is. In the silver, you have data that is minimally cleansed. And then in the gold layer, we're getting into more advanced levels of analytics and modeling. And we here at DataB really do think that we can help you get to gold faster for your cybersecurity use cases. So on the screen here, you kind of saw as it was building out different layers of information, right? So your security and non-security data sources that are coming into DataB, where we're bringing to market a data fabric management approach for cybersecurity risk and compliance organizations. We're weaving together, correlating all of this information. This is inclusive of HR information like from Workday, for example, that is often excluded. And the funny thing is, your HR information or your HR systems is usually the first one to find out whether you have like an employee that's about to be offboarded. It's not necessarily your Azure AD, which gets updated after the fact. So with that said, what we're really bringing in is this ability to parse out the security relevant and business relevant information, normalizing it to OCSF, or also known as Open Cybersecurity Schema Framework, which I'll touch on a little bit more. And then in addition to that, because what we're really trying to bring is the like this data for all users within the organization, this helps to really build the trust that you really need for that collaboration, because people always talk about collaboration, but they don't really talk about how do you build that in, right? You build trust, because you give lineage and cataloging and ensure quality to your data. And so when your cyber teams, your risk teams, your trust or compliance team have the same data set that they can dip into, it's really being able to answer those not just basic questions about your environment, but also just asking even the most audacious questions about your environment. And here on the screen, you can kind of see once we've processed the data, we're loading it into, we're utilizing autoloader to bring it into Delta tables within the Databricks platform. And the use cases that you kind of see here are just prime examples. They're not listing all of the use cases. I would love to kind of talk everyone's ear off about that, but an example of what we can do and how we've even used Databricks internally at Comcast is for insider risk monitoring and compliance reporting, as well as just general threat hunting within the data sets. So I did want to touch upon OCSF. Part of what makes Database so unique, and really what our customers are really loving us for is being able to transform and normalize the security logs that are coming through, as well as non-security logs. So I mentioned this. We do take in authentication logs. We also look at DNS traffic. We're parsing that for security relevant information. And here's an example, this screenshot, where we could have multiple data sources. And in these data sources, you'll see that there are often valuable information, but if you were to map this on your own, this is quite a bit of work. I mean, quite frankly, we have a whole team behind the scenes just keeping up to date on like the quarterly releases that the steering committee has committed to. So it's been really valuable for us to really appreciate that OCSF is taking not a domain or vendor specific look at security logs, but they're looking at a security events perspective, right? And to be honest, we really value OCSF as well here at Databee, because it's really critical to a vendor agnostic journey. It's going to make adding, removing, adjusting, or replacing your vendors less disruptive. So let's say if you were to, change your mind or add another firewall vendor, being able to translate into a single schema is going to make it much easier downstream for your analytics as well. So the way that we at Databee kind of look at this, especially because we were part of the 1.3 announcement earlier this month during Black Hat, is that we are helping with building out some custom extensions as well. We're processing data and parsing it in a couple of different ways. If you're looking at unstructured logs, we're using regex. We're also looking and outputting into JSON and CSV mappings to the OCSF schema. And so with that said, there's a lot of enrichment and that goes into the fields. And it really does give users, and again, pointing out to Kristen's callback for the SOC, if you're in the SOC, it is so overwhelming. And for the first time, these logs allow you to look at from a more holistic cybersecurity perspective, and not just from a vendor specific schema. So I wanted to give some more concrete examples. Here's an example of a raw log where then Databee is then parsing it out. And in the next screenshot, we're able to look at what the raw data looks like and giving the user a look into how we've mapped it out as well. So this really gives your users a more trusted view, like they're able to verify and look into their logs and ensure that what we're translating is aligned to what your organization needs for investigations. One thing that I did want to mention that is very complementary to Kristen's demo as well is that we do have an entity resolution patent that is leveraged within Comcast. So it's been really cool to work with both practitioners and the team that's building out Databricks, a Databee here at the organization, and building it on top of Databricks. But we're leveraging our own patent to be able to create a unique identifier for users and devices, and allowing them to essentially create a view, an entity view that is really giving them 360 context. An example is whether you are leveraging a employee ID number or a email address that is then brought together into one view. So it really is complementary to what Kristen showed earlier. And just really quickly, wanted to show what the Databee platform kind of looks like real quick. So this is where we're able to show you how much we're writing into your data lake. So the Databricks intelligence platform, we're bringing that data in as we've processed it so that you can take a governance approach to your data, whether you want certain access to be given to different personas, or you want to maintain the retention policy. You can certainly do that with Databricks. And we're showing also the health, the quality, helping you make adjustments along the way if there's something that's misaligned. Additionally, just a really quick shout out, it's really easy to connect Databricks with DataB. And I know that the last bit, going back to what Jesse said about the SIEM, having my background be very familiar, I used to previously work at Palo and Splunk, really love the fact that what we're really bringing is a couple folds. One, we're helping reduce the cost of your SIEM spend without losing any of the context, because we're leveraging your usage of Databricks. So that data that you're putting into Databricks can be leveraged from your SIEM as well. So let's say if you need to do a very compute heavy investigation, you're not held back by the limitations of your SIEM, but you're also now getting the context. Like, the worst thing you can do during an investigation is realize you've never ingested your Windows events logs, or that you didn't really hold onto your DNS logs either. So this is a really great complementary solution to making sure that you get the most out of your security data. So I'm going to pass it back to Jesse.
Wow. Thanks, Amy. Like, I hope everyone can see, if it's as clear to you as it is to me, like, it's a really powerful system together. Like, I talk to multiple customers every week, and at least half of them, and this is just the beginning, are saying like, oh, how can we get our data into OCSF? How can we write direct to Delta? And right here with DataB, you're getting almost plug and play solutions to do that. So I think it's fantastic. And as you've seen from Amy, like, DataB has capabilities far beyond that, so you can dig into more capabilities with them. So thank you again. On to the next segment. We're really lucky to have Arun Pamulapati with us, who's one of my go-to security experts at Databricks, because he seems to know everything about how we've done stuff for a long time to talk about platform and stuff. So thank you, Amy, again, and welcome, Arun.
Thank you, Jesse, and great presenting here. Thanks to all of you for attending this event. So before I go into platform security, I want to show again this slide that Amy was presenting and draw your attention to the left side, right? If you look at the data sources, here we are talking about very highly security sensitive data that you're flowing into the platform, right? Be it your DNS logs, and earlier Christian during her demo showed emails and your Confluent data, and we have customers who ingest their Okta logs. So considering these all data sources are highly security sensitive data, customers expect the platform that they're going to use is secure. All right, when you're using these traditional tools, you are used to the security of those tools, and when you are replatforming or starting with a new platform, you expect that this platform is going to secure your data sources and then provide all the value that Jesse talked about and Kristen presented and Amy mentioned about the value of the platform, the volume that you're going to use, right? So here, what I'm going to present is common questions our customers ask us when they consider Databricks as their platform. Not just for cybersecurity, we have all kinds of workloads in Databricks. So they want to know if this platform is trusted. It has the necessary processes in place. They would like to know, many of our customers are in the regulated industry, so they have certain standards the future platform needs to meet. So how we actually can meet those needs of these customers. And in the current, your platform as service environment and the threats that are out there. They want to know what are the security best practices, how easy it is to secure this platform. They want the tools to monitor this platform, right? So for next few minutes, I'll walk you through these three dimensions for Databricks platform, and I'll also talk to where we are going because our workloads are going into more and more into AI. So I'm going to talk to the vision that we have and the papers that we published around not just the data security, but also AI security. Okay, so let's start with the trusted platform. So in the context of I can give you many examples or many ways. Trust me. The one way to trust is that instead of taking my word for it, the peers of yours who are using Databricks, right? There are 10,000 customers today using Databricks, and they're trusting Databricks with their sensitive workloads. They are using, in the government and public sector, Department of Homeland Security puts, very sensitive workloads of citizens' data, immigration data. If you can take Regeneron doing genomic data in Databricks platform and doing research in there, Kaiser Permanente with their health data, and fintechs doing a lot of customer data in the in Databricks platform. But again, these are all kinds of industries. You want, of course, these are our industries that you may or may not be familiar with, but we have customers who are using Databricks in cybersecurity, right? Thanks to Amy for being here as our customer. Thanks for being customer, Amy. In addition to Comcast, we have customers who are using. These are the customers that we can publicly speak to. There are many more customers that we cannot mention. And you may observe some of the names here. They are not just traditional enterprises. They're also security companies, right? So Abnormal is a security company. Obsidian is a security company. They are trusting Databricks with their workloads. But again, you want to trust, but you also want to verify, right? So for that, we built our trust center, security and trust center at Databricks. You can reach here and find, the process that we have would give you the confidence that you need in Databricks, right? So that's the sole reason why we have this security trust center, where you can get how we approach our Databricks security and our operations. You will be able to find everything with transparency. We publish different aspects of our security operations, including the bug bounty. And we publish, this is the only place where you will find all of the Databricks security features in one place listed, so that you can familiarize yourself with Databricks security features and the documentation that is necessary. And here you will also find Databricks compliance and assurance due diligence package, be it your SOC 2 report or ISO standard documentation that you need. And we speak at length how our software release processes, what kind of standards we follow, and the life cycle overall, how we move and release our new versions of our Databricks platform. And we also publish the necessary documentation around our software development lifecycle for our customers to review, right? And you can find our contracts and DPA that is necessary for you to start looking into matching for your work enterprise needs and working with our contracts team. But once you review this, you want to also know about the regulatory standards. So some of your organizations, whether it is cyber data or any type of workloads, that data sets that before you can actually put into a platform like Databricks, you may need to verify that platform meets the regulatory requirements and compliance requirements. So on the same security and trust center, you will see some of the core requirements that organizations look for. I mentioned about the standard ISO documentation. You may be looking for before you put some of these data sets, you may want to be you want to make sure this is HIPAA or high trust or FedRAMP for your data sets to be leave your your environment and be analyzed by any other vendor, right? So with that, you can verify that these are the requirements that you can meet. And then last but not the least, we have enormous documentation around our security features, our security best practices, so that you as a practitioner, once you kind of take the examples that were shown today and start with a use case, as you deploy Databricks workspaces, you want to first harden that. You want to make sure your Databricks workspaces are logged up and you have necessary controls in place. You want to prove that you actually hardened that. So you want a tool to kind of make sure it is built according to your security requirements. And then you can start your journey of basically engaging with your data teams and ingesting those cyber logs into Databricks workspaces. So for that, we have we have all the security features that I mentioned. But before we go into the features, we will talk to our Databricks architecture for a second, and then we will see how we protect all of this architecture that you would be using for deploying your cybersecurity sensitive workloads into Databricks, right? So Databricks has primarily these two major components where users will interact with. During Kristen's demo, you might have seen she is using this Databricks workspace, which is we call control plane. This is where you interact with the notebooks. So users would come in and they engage. So this is your dashboard and a driving wheel. You can if you will. This is what you interact with. This is basically hosted in your Databricks account at Databricks. And then you would be, when you're running the workloads that were presented earlier, those are actually computing inside of your environment. So you would be basically spinning up the compute, and here are all of your cyber data that you might have seen during Amy's slide, where all these ingestion streams are happening. So that data stays in your organization storage, right? So you have a lot of control on this data. So that's where you get that economics that Jesse mentioned earlier. You are basically using cloud storage. So you do not need to retire your data just because your vendor is charging by storage. Instead, here you are using a low-cost cloud storage as your storage for your logs that you can keep as long as for the timeline that you care about, as opposed to forcing some of those out because you don't need to, because you're no need to concern about, those costs by terabyte or something like that. And then here the compute is going to be ephemeral. So you are going to, bring this compute only when you are running a workload. So even if you're talking about these terabytes of data or petabytes of data, remember, when Krishna was showing that job that she mentioned, that during the job run, only at that time you're actually paying for the compute sources, right? Other times this is going to be basically, back to the cloud service provider, so you are not paying for any of that. So the users can come through, traditional browser where you have seen those detection notebook that Kristen showed, or they can bring some kind of tool. In this case where we are talking to your cyber SOC analyst, they may be using Splunk. So users can sit inside of Splunk, and Jesse mentioned about Databricks has an add-on for Splunk. So you can basically use that add-on and then use Splunk as your front end, like in your UI. And then this entire environment will be at your disposal. So you can actually use Splunk as your front end and interact with Databricks using that add-on for Splunk. Okay, so with that background, let's look at some of the basic things. I won't go through every feature. The goal is to give you that we got you all the security features that you need to harden Databricks deployment. So we'll start from how you basically bring in your users. So given what's happening around SaaS platforms, you definitely want to make sure you basically bring in your IDP and then make sure your users come through single sign-on with multi-factor authentication, and then you interact with Databricks through your single sign-on authentication system, and make sure your right users, authenticated and authorized users, are coming into that platform, right? And then you would be you would be able to restrict those users to a known network. So in this case, you can say Comcast users can only come from Comcast in VPN or Comcast domain IP allow list. And you don't want those users to come from somewhere from, say, sitting in a public network like at Starbucks or something, right? So you can impose that kind of rules around Databricks platform. And then once the compute comes in, you want to have hardened VM so that you can feel good about Databricks maintaining those hardening process as shared responsibility. We own the responsibility of maintaining, patching, and then providing you latest and greatest the virtual environment runtimes that are needed for your workload. So you don't need to be concerned about that. And you will be able to keep your data, as I mentioned, in your storage with your encryption. So all those security sensitive logs that you're bringing into, you would be encrypting with your key, and then you will be making those available to your compute so that those analytics are happening in a secure way within your organization's security standards. And then you will be able to monitor all of these through various provisions that we provide through our platform. So you will be having system tables for your audit logs, who did what when, and you will be able to have all kinds of logs that are needed from the notebook runs for archival, for all the proof that you need to provide as things happen. As I mentioned, you will be able to meet the regulatory requirements that are necessary for your organization. And we have a security analysis tool that provides you to prove that you deployed your workspaces according to Databricks security best practices. And access management controls that are necessary, like any other platform or tool that you may be familiar with. Databricks provides you, you may remember Kristen was showing some tables and then how those data flows are coming. All those jobs and tables can have access control lists so that only right authenticated and authorized users can actually look at those, run those, and view the output of those detections. It should feel for you all like who are using other tools at home to basically use Databricks in that equal, if not better, manner. So I mentioned for using for your deployments, you would be able to define what your security best practices are. We published white papers for you to review and make sure you understand the security best practices. You will be able to deploy using an opinionated Terraform template that we provide, or you can follow your own CI/CD process. Deploy your Databricks workspace according to the security best practices, and you will be able to monitor if you actually hardened your Databricks workspace according to the security best practices using security analysis tool. So with that, you will be able to have a comprehensive understanding of security best practices and also visibility into if you have hardened your Databricks workspace for putting your security sensitive cybersecurity logs. So, and we provide all the necessary education through our security best practice video series available on YouTube in security best practice channel. And as we move from known signature and detection processes that you may be familiar with into a predictive, and also figuring out and taking advantage of both traditional ML and Gen AI for cybersecurity. You may be having concerns and questions around like how do I follow some of the things that I'm hearing in various blogs, like how do I make sure my AI posture of like using AI for security analytics is is safe, we published 80-page document about how you can actually, what kind of threats and risks that you should be thinking about when you're using ML and AI on any data, but specifically in cyber. And if you're bringing models that are available on model zoos, like Hugging Face, or you may find some interesting cybersecurity model out there, and you may want to bring it into your platform like Databricks. And you may have concerns about how do I secure that, how do I safely use that model. This paper that we published, Databricks AI Security Framework, addresses those concerns with by cataloging 55 different security risks, and then the controls that you can put in place so that you can mitigate those risks. So you can download this paper, and if you have any questions, you can reach out. We actually released Databricks AI Security Framework version 1.1 with new controls and the necessary things to bring more security to your workloads. So with that, to summarize, we understand that cybersecurity data that you bring into a platform is highly secure data that may have, and you want a platform that is trusted by tens of thousands of customers, and then you want to meet. I showed you the security requirements and regulatory requirements that you may have. The chances are we already have the necessary certifications and necessary compliance. If you see something that you may need, and if you don't find it there, you can contact us, and we'll make sure how we can help you with that process. And I walked you through how you can actually build a hardened Databricks workspace so that you can actually make sure you are practicing Databricks securely, and then you're deploying and getting value that Jesse talked about, and Amy showed their solution on top of Databricks, and the walkthrough, the live demo that Kristen showed. If you are super excited about all of those, you will feel good about putting those workloads in Databricks with the examples that I had shown in this at this time. Thank you. Back to Jesse.
Thanks, Arun. Really appreciate it. That was a great overview of how much effort we put into making Databricks a trusted platform, as well as our thought leadership being executed in the areas of AI and AI security. We know it's a hot topic right now, and Databricks is a platform for building AI, so it's top of mind. And I'm not sure if anyone attending this had the opportunity to attend our Data and AI Summit this year or watch it live, but if you saw our CEO Ali's keynotes, he listed as top 3 items of concern, and security was number 2 up there. So security is really at the forefront of everything Databricks does, from building its products to actually utilizing our platform for cybersecurity. So just to wrap things up here, trying to bring this together is essentially, we see this as modernizing your cybersecurity architecture. Databricks, your long-term storage and analytics, all your sources can go in there, any structure or frequency. We've got a single platform for all the workloads and all your use cases. And if you're familiar with Databricks and our background, you'll know we're built on open source standards. So we work with any vendor, there's no lock-in. It's easy to tailor the system to meet your needs, again, as your business changes, as the threat landscape evolves, as we all know it constantly is. And again, as a security professional, that's super important to me. And in my best Steve Jobs impersonation, I want to mention one more thing before we close out, and it's Databricks actually has its first cybersecurity product. It's in private beta, but available by request right now at no cost for customers to trial, and it's called Sirens. And as you can see here, it helps with the ingest of security data sources, as well as providing notebook-based detections and analytics on top. It's though it's private beta, we've got a lot of long customers and a large pipeline of people interested in it. If you're interested in this, please contact us for more details or to arrange a demo. We're happy to talk about that. Finally, I know this was a lot of information in a short time. We tried to squeeze a lot in. So please, if you might be aware, Databricks has a Data and AI World Tour ongoing right now, and we'll have representatives in a lot of locations. The ones listed on this slide will definitely be available at probably more of them. You can find out more information about that on our website. That long, a little bit unwieldy URL is our cybersecurity page. If you Google Databricks cybersecurity, you'll probably get to it, and we will make an easier one. And most importantly, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to discuss anything we've discussed here, you can reach us all at cybersecurity@databricks.com. That's that will hit all of us. If you need to be put in contact with DataB, please contact us there. We'll pass you over to them as well. Thank you to everyone for attending this. Thank you for all the cool presenters for all the work put in. I think it was great. I hope we've given you a good overview. And that's what we have. Thanks again for joining.